Prime Minister Narendra Modi to travel to Dhaka for centenary celebrations of Bangabandhu. India-EU summit to be rescheduled on a convenient date due to coronavirus issue. Lok Sabha Speaker suspends 7 Congress members for the rest of the ongoing budget session, including Gaurav Gogoi, T.N. Prathapan. In his statement to both houses of the Parliament, Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan says government is taking all necessary steps to curb the spread of coronavirus. As the number of total positive cases in India rise to 29, Prime Minister Narendra Modi personally monitoring the preparedness. Health Minister says India is in touch with Iran on possible evacuation of Indian pilgrims and students stuck there. Indian medical team arrives in Iran for screening. Latest travel advisory mandates passengers coming in from Italy and South Korea to be tested negative for the virus. Delhi government directs immediate closure of all primary schools up to 31st March as a precautionary measure to prevent possible spread of COVID-19. Delhi court issues fresh death warrant to the Nirbhaya convicts, all 4 of them to be hanged at 5:30 am on 20th of this month. In Women's T20 World Cup, India qualifies for the final by virtue of finishing higher on the points table as rain washes off the semi-final against England. They will meet Australia in the summit clash. Namaskar, I'm Abhishek Mahajan. You are in with the latest on DD News and DD India. Let's start with our top story today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Dhaka to attend the Mujib Centenary celebrations. PM Modi will be visiting on the invitation of Bangladesh PM Sheikh Hasina.
As far as Prime Minister's visit to Bangladesh is concerned, you are aware that when Prime Minister met Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, she specifically invited Prime Minister to attend the centenary celebrations of Bangabandhu, who is also known as the father of the nation. Prime Minister has accepted the invitation and will visit Bangladesh to attend this important celebration. There will be a bilateral component to the visit as well, and we will share more details on this visit in due course.
MEA spokesperson Ravish Kumar, while addressing a press conference, also said that EU summit to be rescheduled on a convenient date due to coronavirus issue. He mentioned about the travel advisories too that has been issued in view of coronavirus. He also mentioned about the protocols prescribed by the Ministry of Health.
You know, with regard to the proposed India-EU summit, both sides have agreed that due to health authorities advising against travel between regions, it would be wise to reschedule the summit to a later mutually convenient date. The decision has been taken in the spirit of close cooperation between India and the EU, who share the same concerns and commitment to global health and hope that the outbreak is contained soon.
Moving on, Lok Sabha passed a motion suspending 7 Congress members for the remaining period of the budget session for their gross misconduct after they snatched papers from the Speaker's table and utter disregard for House rules. As soon as the House met at 3 p.m. following an adjournment, Meenakshi Lekhi, who was presiding the House, named Gaurav Gogoi, T.N. Prathapan, Dean Kuriakose, Manika Tagore, Rajmohan Unithan, Benny Behnan and Gurjeet Singh Ojla. Once a member is named by the chair, he or she cannot attend the House for that day. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi then moved a motion to suspend these members from the House for the remaining period of the budget session. The motion was passed by a voice vote amid protest by opposition members. Meenakshi Lekhi then asked the 7 members to leave Lok Sabha chambers immediately and then adjourn the House for the day. So, after witnessing repeated adjournments over the Delhi violence issue, Lok Sabha has been adjourned for the day. The House was first adjourned till noon as protest and sloganeering by opposition parties over the Delhi violence disrupted proceedings for the 4th straight day. Later on, the House was adjourned till 2 p.m. When the House assembled at 2 p.m. amid ruckus, Lok Sabha also took up the Mineral Laws Amendment Bill 2020 for passage. However, as the opposition continued with their protest, the House was adjourned till 3 p.m. and finally the chairman adjourned the House for the day. An opposition uproar continued in Rajya Sabha over violence in northeast Delhi. After Union Health Minister's statement in the upper house, members put forth their views. Immediately after this, opposition members stuck to their demand for discussion over the Delhi violence issue. As pandemonium continued by opposition members, chairman adjourned the Rajya Sabha proceedings for the day till tomorrow. Amid coronavirus scare in India with confirmed cases of infections rising to 29 now, Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan said there was no need to panic, while adding that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is personally monitoring the entire situation and briefing both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha on coronavirus outbreak and how it has impacted India. Union Minister Harshvardhan said the situation is being monitored by the ministry and the PM on a daily basis.
In our country, as on 4th March, a total of 29 positive cases have been reported so far. Of these, 3 cases were reported in Kerala earlier, who have since recovered and have been discharged already. Since last 3 days, new travel-related cases have tested positive. These include one in Delhi having travel history of Italy and Telangana having travel history from Dubai and contact history from person from Singapore. Both are clinically stable. 6 more cases have tested positive in Agra, Uttar Pradesh, having contact history with the case in Delhi. Required action as per cluster management plan has been initiated. Further, an Italian tourist and his wife have tested positive in Rajasthan. 14 other accompanying tourists in this group and their Indian bus driver tested positive on their return to Delhi. All of them are reported to be stable. A recent positive case has also been reported in Delhi yesterday, having travel history from Italy and is stable.
And the minister also said that India is in touch with Iran on possible evacuation of Indian pilgrims and students stuck in the coronavirus hit nation.
Another major area of concern is Indian pilgrims and students stranded in Tehran and Qom, Iran, epicenters of the Iran COVID-19 outbreak. Government of India is following up with Iran authorities for their well-being and to tie up evacuation as per need. In addition to manage travel-related cases, additional challenge is to contain clusters due to local transmission that requires highly resource-intensive containment operations.
And giving an update for Indians stranded in Iran and for their families, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said, our medical team for screening arrives in Iran today. Hope to establish first clinic at Qom by this evening. Screening process will start immediately thereafter, working on logistics of return with Iranian authorities. And Special Health Secretary Sanjeev Kumar has said that universal screening has been mandated since yesterday evening in most of the airports across the country, adding that states have been asked to form rapid response teams to curb the potential spread of the coronavirus.
Universal screening has been mandated since 4th March 2020, that is yesterday, and has started in most airports from yesterday evening itself. It should stabilize today with additional staff being provided by the states. It has been decided to actively involve district collectors, and the states have been asked to form rapid response teams. Private sector shall also be engaged for COVID-19 management.
And the WHO has said that COVID-19 outbreak has completed 8 weeks. They have identified the virus and there is genetic sequence, PCR and serological assay in use. The WHO Health Emergencies Program's technical lead, Maria van Kerkhove, said that this wealth of knowledge is unprecedented for a new disease.
8 weeks into this, and we have serologic assays, but this is unprecedented to have a virus identified, a sequence shared a few days later, PCR assays to be ready a week or so later after that, and to have serologic assays in use 8 weeks into an outbreak. So we are waited with bated breath, as you are, for these serologic studies to be done, and it's a matter of weeks before we start to see some of these results.
And the death toll of coronavirus in China has crossed 3,000 with 31 new fatalities, and the total number of confirmed cases jumped to over 80,400, while Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for undiminished vigilance, saying the situation in virus hit Wuhan still remains severe despite positive progress. China's National Health Commission said that it received reports of 139 new confirmed cases of the novel coronavirus infection and 31 deaths on Wednesday on the Chinese mainland. All the deaths were in the epicenter of virus, Hubei province, and its capital Wuhan, which continued to be the ground zero of COVID-19. Also on Wednesday, 143 new suspected cases were reported, while the number of severe cases decreased by 464 to 5,952, the NHC said, adding that 522 people were still suspected of being infected with the virus. The overall confirmed cases on the Chinese mainland have reached 80,409 by the end of Wednesday. And South Korea's total number of novel coronavirus cases, the largest outside China, approached 6,000 as authorities announced a ban on face mask exports. South Korea declared a special care zone around Gyeongsan, promising extra resources such as face masks and warning people from traveling there. Japan confirmed over 1,037 coronavirus cases, and so far 12 people have died due to the infection. Nearly all schools are closed after Prime Minister Shinzo Abe called for classes to be cancelled through March and spring break slated for late March through early April. Italy reported a total of 107 deaths of the deadly coronavirus, taking the total number to 3,089. Italy ordered on Wednesday that all major sporting events be held behind closed doors until April 3rd as the country grapples with the deadly coronavirus outbreak. In Iran, the deadly infection claimed 92 lives out of more than 2,922 cases. Iran will temporarily release 54,000 people from prisons and deploy hundreds of thousands of health workers as officials announced a slew of measures to contain the world's deadliest coronavirus outbreak outside China. The US death toll from the COVID-19 rose to 11, and nationwide there are nearly 160 confirmed cases. US House of Representatives overwhelmingly approved an $8.3 billion bill to combat the spread of the new coronavirus and develop vaccines for the highly contagious disease, sending it to the Senate for final passage. California Governor Gavin Newsom declared a state of emergency over the coronavirus in the state, which now has 53 confirmed cases.
Of cases in the state of California is 53, and as I noted, I want to just acknowledge that with 53 tested cases positive, this is no longer isolated in just one part of our state. This is broadly shared as a burden and responsibility up and down the state, and I want to thank local leaders, including those that today I think wisely and appropriately advanced a similar proclamation in the city and county of Los Angeles.
And France said that 21 new cases of COVID-19 had been identified, with a total of 285 cases now diagnosed, of which 12 were cured and 4 have died. Some 120 schools closed in France this week in areas with the largest numbers of infections. Saudi Arabia has suspended the year-round Umrah pilgrimage over fears of new coronavirus spreading to Islam's holiest cities, an unprecedented move that raises fresh uncertainty over the annual Hajj. The kingdom said the suspension was provisional, but with the Umrah attracting millions of people annually, the decision has a huge potential impact. The move comes after authorities, alarmed over the spread of coronavirus across Middle East, last week suspended visas for Umrah and barred citizens from the Six-Nation Gulf Cooperation Council from entering Mecca and Medina. Moving on, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval has termed technology as a great enabler and called upon young SPs to embrace technology for better policing. He said technology can change constants into variables and make a huge difference. He was delivering inaugural address of 3rd Young Superintendents of Police Conference in Gurugram this morning.
Technology is a great enabler which reduces your constants, converts your constants into variables. If you are in your day-to-day working in a police station, if you are beat constable or the people who are having counter-terrorist, who are fighting terrorism or who are in left-wing extremism areas, they face certain problems. They face certain situations. Then they try to find out, are there technological solutions? And they may not be something which is the great technologies. Even some applications, innovations, probably may make it.
A Delhi court issued a fresh date, March 20th at 5:30 a.m. for execution of the 4 convicts in the Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case. Additional Sessions Judge Dharmendra Rana fixed the new date after being informed by the Delhi government that the convicts have exhausted all their legal remedies. The death row convicts are Mukesh Kumar Singh, Pavan Gupta, Vinay Sharma and Akshay Kumar Singh. Moving on, the Supreme Court said it would hear on March 23rd the appeal filed by the centre challenging the Delhi High Court order that the 4 death row convicts in the Nirbhaya gang rape and murder case have to be executed simultaneously. Solicitor General Tushar Mehta told the bench headed by Justice R. Bhanumati that the trial court has fixed March 20th as date of execution of the 4 convicts who have exhausted all their legal remedies. Mehta told the bench, also comprising Justices Ashok Bhushan and A.S. Bopanna, that these convicts have made a mockery of the system by their delaying tactics and taken it for a ride. The bench said that it would hear the matter on merits on March 23rd and made it clear that no adjournments will be granted. A Delhi court dismissed a plea by suspended AAP councillor Tahir Hussain seeking to surrender before it in connection with alleged killing of Intelligence Bureau official Ankit Sharma, after which the police arrested him. Additional Chief Metropolitan Magistrate Vishal Pahuja rejected Hussein's plea, saying that the relief sought by him was outside its jurisdiction. As the court dismissed Hussein's plea, a Delhi police team which had already arrived arrested him and took him into custody. Hussain moved the surrender application before the court, saying that he was willing to join the investigation and wanted to surrender in the case. And now some updates on events related to upcoming International Women's Day to be celebrated on March 8th. So, in an event organized on Thursday in support of Beti Bachao campaign, Union Minister of Women and Child Development Smriti Irani launched a book titled A Compilation of Innovative Practices, Chronicles of Change Champions, celebrating the spirit and the potential of those who lead the Beti Bachao campaign from the front and the grassroots. She further said that we must hope this decade becomes the decade of Indian women and the Indian girl child.
We celebrate the potential, the spirit of those who lead the Beti Bachao campaign from the front at the grassroots. This booklet, nonetheless, is a reflection of the resolve not only of district administrations, but a nation that is united for the cause of the girl child. The fact that in 2020 we began the year on this auspicious note gives us reason to hope that we will do better in this decade, a decade which I hope becomes the decade of Indian women and the Indian girl child.
Birth anniversary of former Odisha Chief Minister Biju Patnaik is being observed today. Remembering Biju Patnaik for his contribution, Prime Minister in his Twitter account shared a document dated 1945 from the pages of history, which gives a glimpse of the statesman's courage and excellence. The letter read that flying is Patnaik's normal way of making a living. We should prefer to see him employed under rather than idle. The letter also read that if the Indian National Airways do not re-employ him, Tata's probably will, because he is an excellent pilot. PM Modi said that remembering Biju Babu on his Jayanti, this document from the pages of history dated 1945 gives a glimpse of his courage. Flying Dr. Lohia, who was then underground in excellence, Biju Babu worked tirelessly for India's progress and pioneered the development of Odisha. Moving on, the European Commission unveiled a climate law to make the European Union's 2050 net zero emissions target legally binding. The climate law, which needs the approval of the European Parliament and member states, would commit the 27-nation bloc to reducing its net greenhouse gas emissions to zero by 2050. It omits a target that was included in a draft of the law to achieve net removals of greenhouse gases after this date. According to the regulation, 2050 will be an EU-wide goal, which raises the possibility that some member states could reduce their emissions to net zero at a later date if other countries decarbonize early.
The climate law will oblige the European Union to take our climate goals into account in all future policies and legislation. It is a binding legal obligation. It offers predictability. It offers transparency to, for example, the European industry, to investors, to public authorities. And this is what they are calling for. This is what they ask us to do, because it gives them certainty about what needs to be achieved, and it gives them certainty at what pace.
Sports news now. The Indian women's cricket team entered the maiden T20 World Cup final on Thursday after rain washed out the semi-final clash against England in Sydney. There was no reserve day for the semis in the ongoing tournament, and Cricket Australia's request for a reserve day was declined by the International Cricket Council on Wednesday. India booked a place in the final as they finished their group on top with 4 wins out of 4 games. The last time these two sides met in the competition, India had lost to England by 8 wickets. Now they will meet Australia in the summit clash. And record 4-time champions Australia beat South Africa by 5 runs via Duckworth-Lewis method to reach their 6th successive Women's T20 World Cup final on Thursday. Australia will meet India in the final in Melbourne on Sunday. Australian skipper Meg Lanning led from the front with an unbeaten 49 of as many balls, taking the team to 134 for 5 in 20 overs. Nadine de Klerk was the pick of the South Africa bowlers, taking 3 wickets for 19 runs in 3 overs. In response, South Africa ended at 92 for 5, chasing a revised target of 98 runs in 13 overs after rain returned during the innings break. Well, that's all we have on this news bulletin. Stay tuned for more news and updates. Namaskar.